All right, we are back for another Morbid Mondays.
Dun dun dun.
No, you've got to be hungry by now because we've been talking like for a long time. I gave Katie a warning not to eat anything too heavy because it's my turn and because I like gross stuff. So, this is my ASMR turning pages. We always start these things off with a bit of word associations.
I hate it when you grin at me like that.
Oh my god. Do you know what a screw worm is?
Yes, actually. Kind of. A little bit. Oh no. Pray, Brian. Enlighten me.
So today, because it's come up in the news recently.
Really?
Yeah, and so I was like, this is going to be a neat, morbid topic that is very relevant to anyone who might listen to this. It's because it's very much in the news right now. Massive investment, and it's very rare that I ever get to look at the American government and say, yeah, you guys are doing pretty good on this one. Especially when, like, Greg Abbott is concerned. Because I don't normally agree with a lot of his shit.
I agree.
Like, he's a very heavy-handed person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, but on this one, heavy-handed is the way to fucking go. So, I'll start off with an explanation of what screwworms... Let's just talk about screwworms for a second. Because screwworms are kind of like... People generally know of them. People have seen, like, videos about mango worms. Mm-hmm. That is a kind of screwworm. That's a screwworm, what's called the Old World screwworm. We're different genus. We're going to talk about Cochleamia hominivorax.
Bless you.
Yes. That's not a Harry Potter spell. That was the name given to this specific kind of screwworm in 1858 by a Charles Coquerel, who was a French Navy surgeon. And because it's French, I'm definitely butchering that fucking name.
Oh.
I would say it Coquerel. I'm not, it's got a Q and all kinds of... It's probably totally fucking different. But hominivorax, I think is Latin, but it literally means man-eater. Homini meaning human, and vorax meaning to vor, to consume.
Eat, yeah.
So, the common name for this is the New World screwfly. It's the primary species of 5 species, meaning that whenever you hear somebody say screwworm, they mean this specific one, not the other 4, which are usually just kind of like flies. They're just different kinds of blowflies, mm-hmm. And they're not really of interest. They're just flies, so doing what flies normally do. Of the 5 in its classification of the New World screwworm, it's the only parasite. And specifically, it is an obligate parasite, meaning that it does feed on a living host. No carrion, no cold bloods, because they do require heat, and they require a lot of blood flow.
Boy, this just keeps getting more delightful.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. This is what I imagine whenever I read like a Warhammer thing and like the worms of Nurgle that are like in people. This is what I'm imagining. So obligate parasites are different from facultative parasites, which are flies. You see they're in dead flesh, necrotic tissue, or like things that feed in like fecal matter, like dung beetles they're not parasites, but that kind of thing. They live in the food that's being left behind. Mm-hmm. And that's what they breed in. As stated before, they can't feed on carrion or cold-blooded. They're in warm-blooded creatures. They're less common in birds and humans.
Okay.
And the reason why is birds have evolved this awesome thing of feathers. Feathers make it very difficult for anything that is piercing to get through. Snakes have a hard time biting them because they can't really tell where the body is.
So they've got +1?
This is their +1 AC to piercing weapons. And one of the reasons is not just because they fly, but one of the reasons it took off is it makes it very difficult for parasites to get in there. It makes it very difficult for things like these cats here to grab a hold of them because so much of their body is much smaller than what you're seeing.
Yep.
So
owls, for instance, have crazy fucking long legs.
Yeah.
For no goddamn
And
reason.
a puffball of a body.
Yeah.
And a evolutionary strategy to that is that once they're on the ground, they're very vulnerable. They're excellent in flight. But when they get on the ground, they're super vulnerable. And if you attack them, you're hitting air. It's like having a big bloomy cloak on and somebody's trying to hit you in the stomach. They really can't tell where your stomach is. So that's like fucking awesome, right? Humans different, right? Humans are different. We share a thing in birds in that we groom a lot. Mm-hmm. We have fine dexterity motion. We can reach almost every part of our body usually. So that's good for parasites because we can find them and remove them. Not that it helps much with screwworms, and we'll get into why that is later.
I'm assuming they're burrowers.
Yeah, as the name might imply, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the life cycle of screwworms is about 20 days long. At the start, females can lay, a female adult screwfly lays 250 to 500 eggs.
Jesus Christ.
Their larvae burrow into flesh after hatching, thus the name. Here's the first bit of dark news. If you scratch at them once they're in your skin, they instinctively move away from you trying to grab them, so they burrow deeper.
Well, that's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, you can't pull them out. They start going further in.
Wait, hang on. Are these the like horror bait bugs that you read about in the ER chronicles of people coming back from like tropical?
Yes.
Okay.
Where they're like in the scalp and they keep peeking out. So, and we'll talk about why they do that, why they peek out.
Ugh.
All right. So, when you disturb the wound, they want to burrow in to get away from predators because probably birds.
Yeah.
Because birds peck into holes. A lot of birds have long, narrow beaks. If you get into their flesh, they will just pick you out. And a lot of birds clean each other. Mm-hmm. So birds, not so much with these screw flies. They're very resistant to them because of just how they are. In 3 to 7 days, the larvae will drop to the ground to pupate. Each adult stage is about 7 days, mating 4 to 5 days after hatching. So that's why they peek in and out. Like when you undoubtedly heard that Reddit where it's like in their scalp.
Yeah.
And they keep itching and it keeps like hurting really bad.
Uh-huh.
So they're not very strong. Going through bone is very difficult, right? So they're peeking in and it hurts, but they can't go that far in the scalp.
Yeah.
So they just kind of stay there and they itch. However, in 3 to 7 days, the larvae will drop to the ground to pupate after reaching adult stage. Reaching adult stage in about 7 days. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to drop to the ground. And then they itch, and you itch them, and they go back in. After...
How rarely do these people like wash themselves?
So here's so this one's special, right?
Oh, thanks. I hate it already.
About reaching adult stage in about 7 days, that means turning into flies. Mm-hmm. They go to pupate, they turn into adult flies, mating 4 to 5 days after hatching. Now the males aren't very active. The males will hide in vegetation, and their life cycle, like I said, is about 20 days long. So they'll hide in the underside of leaves and stuff, mating up to 10 times as females pass by them. Mm. The females will travel up to 200 kilometers or 120 miles to mate. That makes them incredibly invasive.
Yeah.
Because that's a long fucking way if you think in terms of 20-day spans. The furthest out every 20 days is like 100 of that generation will be 120 miles. So you're passing, in the case of a year, continents.
Ugh.
Which is why flies are so prolific and why they're found everywhere in the world. The thing about the females is they only copulate once, but they'll lay up to 3,000 eggs.
Oh my god.
And the way that they do this is that when the females breed, they hold on to the male sperm, kind of just reusing it as necessary. And you can do that kind of 1, 2, 3 quick math, right? 250 to 500 eggs 3,000 times. So they're giving birth 4 to 5 times. They're laying eggs 4 to 5 times in their lifespans before dropping dead. They won't start mating after they turn into flies. It usually takes 4 to 5 days for them to start mating. And I don't really know why that is. I don't know if they have to dry out, or develop their wing muscles. But then they start moving around. They largely live in South America because as a fly, they don't do too well in cold weather. Mm-hmm. So if they go too far north, winter hits, it kills them all. Or at least, the non-eggs. If they go too far south, which is into like Argentina, it gets very cold. You're dipping into like, the Antarctic.
So they have to stay right around the equator.
Yeah, they're staying largely in the tropics. You can find them in the Caribbean, and for a very long time, here. Because Texas is a tropic zone.
I hate it here.
So, all the way through Mexico, Pan America, Mesoamerica, whatever you want to call it, Central America, that's part of their natural habitat.
I'm never going outside again.
The way that they lay their eggs is a process called meiosis, which is commonly called fly strike. We've seen this in horseflies. Horseflies bite you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
fuck horseflies.
Yeah, they come up, and they flies in general, like to lay eggs in dead tissue, or in the case of the parasitic ones, near wounds. Mm-hmm. Our guys are different. They're a special kind of parasite that will attack fresh flesh, which is how people get them on their scalps.
Ugh.
So, because they just land, and you don't always feel things on your hair. So, known as fly strike, most fly strike occurs normally on wounds or dirty fur. Dirty fur being like, we're talking livestock here. They're kind of like in their own filth for a little while. So you got to watch those populations especially carefully. Screw flies will attack clean, unbroken skin. So you asked earlier, like, how much are they bathing? Doesn't really matter. On the main groups affected, one of the main groups affected is domesticated cattle. And the reason why is because of dehorning and castration. It leaves not open wounds, but it leaves soft, broken tissue, which in the case of, say, castration, certain kinds of castration, you have necrotic flesh present for a little while. Ears, noses, and perineums are sometimes points of entry for screw flies. For those of you who don't know what a perineum is, it is the actual, it's the more clinical name for the taint. It's your taint. It's the area between.
Tis the gooch.
Yeah, tis the gooch. It's the area between your primary sexual organs and your anus, because we have two open spaces into the body there, right? Especially on female bodies. Also true on male bodies, though. You have the presence of an entry and exit hole in between 2 points, and that's your perineum. That a lot of blood flow is in.
Yeah.
And so, so taint aside, there's a couple of other things that can pop up. So a lot of meiosis happens accidentally. And this is like when people get worms in their stomach. This doesn't usually like kill them or anything. It usually just makes them sick. You get it by like uncooked bad meat, so like intestinal worms, right? Like that's what we're talking about here. When they come from what's called the common drone fly, which is just flies, house flies. Fruit flies can't really do this. They're not big enough, quite frankly, and their larvae is so small that in many of these cases the human digestive system, which is very acidic, can destroy a lot of things.
Acid.
So in our buddies here, the screw fly, they don't normally procreate this way. They are a external, they draw and drop to the ground species. The largest, this is from the National Agricultural Library here in America, the largest outbreak of New World screw fly occurred in the 1950s, affecting over 1.4 million cattle. Primarily, Texas was impacted. Because we have a massive beef industry here, right? And we do a lot of
stories happen here.
Yeah, we do a lot of dehorning because of that. A lot of pigs living in very close proximity. A lot of chickens, turkeys, cow, goat. We got everything, right?
Yeah.
This is from the North Dakota Department of Agriculture. The presence of larvae in the wound is a clear sign. They may burrow deep into the tissue, and you might feel their movement.
No, thank you.
Everything I read about these says like so you can feel them moving around in you, and that's like, and you remember the thing, the scalp thing, right? Like the lady's like screaming, I can feel them, right? That she can't sleep and all that stuff. The effects of infestation You might get bloody discharge from the wound, not like pus, but like blood, because they're actively cutting into you.
Burrowing.
And when you see them, like some of these modern animated movies that have like Thai, Filipino, or like Chinese mythological creatures. Thinking actually, like, best example is Aku from Samurai Jack, how his teeth like go outward like that. You might see in like wood carvings of a Garuda or something like that, or not a Garuda, but a guardian beast that has big teeth. They have teeth like that.
Derpy from fucking K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, they have they have the little like bent backwards teeth, almost saber teeth, but they're going outward.
Hook in.
Yeah, and
I hate this.
Painful sensation that worsens as they burrow. Gray bumps on the skin that can be very large, like the size of like your fist. And they're not deep, so they don't protrude from your skin a lot. They're just wide. Removal must be done physically.
Of course.
They actually have to. So how they do this is that they numb the area. They will put on. They'll make it very cold. Because that keeps them from moving a lot. And then they go in with like tweezers and pull them out. In the case of old world like screwworms, like mango worms, sometimes they will press the gray pocket, and you'll see them like Play-Doh factory out,
like express out.
Yeah,
ugh.
Like the world's weirdest pimple. Author's note for anybody who might be more on the self-medicating line. Ivermectin is not effective. Ivermectin is for intestinal worms and does not work on things on your skin, even when placed on the skin. So, like, some people say it works. There's not enough clinical trial to say that it's effective regularly. So what might actually be happening is that they're pupating, and so they're getting ready to fall out, and they're on the surface of the skin. You place a bunch of ivermectin there, and they pass through it, and that kills them. Not that it gets rid of them, because like the only way you're going to get it in there is to maybe like get it like a turkey baster, or and actually inject it into the wound. In which case, that's dangerous. Don't do that. It's not meant for that. And it's difficult to pull off the dosage. You might also have like a skin allergic reaction that would
it just keeps getting worse.
Yes. A way that people often clean out wounds, and this is just wounds in general that might be infected, is by injecting hydrogen peroxide. We've all seen people do this, right? Then they express it out. That isn't normally done in many cases because they don't know how deep these things are, right? Like if you're bleeding, if you're actively bleeding, they don't want to put. They have to be careful.
Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
So they might still clean the wound this way because that's how wounds are cleaned, but they want to get them
more
out.
often in wounds that are of questionable depth, you're going to get a saline wash.
Yeah, and they're going to pump it in. They're going to try to flood them out, right? And that is kind of what happens here. That's how they do this. They want to pull them out because they do lock in under antiseptic, and then they clean it out as best they can, and following with antibiotics, of course, because these are flies.
Yeah.
So that's fucked, right?
Oh, you're giving me the look, but wait, there's more.
There is, but I want to stop to talk about my general beef with. Some people have a theory in the world. There's multiple theories about this, that nature provides all things. So if there's a disease, there's a natural cure for it. I want to remind our lovely audience that these guys are natural. They come from the natural world, and nature is often mean and cruel.
Yeah.
And it serves no real purpose. They have no place in the food chain. There is no, like, extremophile that feeds on these specifically that helps balance the world out. They're just an invasive parasite.
It's just a horror bug.
They're just a horror bug. Yeah, like, that's... If you wiped them all out, it would hurt nothing, because they hide so well.
They have no natural predator?
Not really, right? I'm sure frogs, and I'm sure ants, like when they fall to the ground, like things will eat them because they will eat anything small. So toads will eat other toads. They don't care. So like you're not going to grossly impact. It's not like, say, for instance, mosquito populations. You've got a balance of how much you want to kill mosquitoes because they spread disease versus how much you want bats to thrive.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a balance. luckily, bats eat other shit. So like, and they will plume because butterflies and beetles, and like here in Texas we have June bugs, right? They will eat June bugs. They don't care what they're eating. They care that it's flying and it's at night. So.
And the radar goes ping.
Like, little insect, I'm gonna eat it. That's what they do, right? They eat crickets and locusts, and they provide billions, if not trillions of dollars of free insecticide by virtue of just being alive, which is why you should always take care of your bats. Bats are incredibly precious, and we should stop thinking of them as some kind of, like, nighttime evil creature. They hardly ever carry disease outside of, like, white nose. You can tell when they got rabies because they can't fly. They'll fly into walls and shit and get all dizzy.
We got one in our house, and we just let it go.
Yeah, they will just leave. And the biggest ones.
You scoop them into a box, but yeah.
Yeah, like the biggest bats, the craziest looking bats, are the most adorable things in the world.
Yes, they're sky foxes, and they eat fruit. That's it.
Giant, like, wolf bats, just they sit there smiling at you when you give them fruit. Like, they're adorable. And you're just like...
Sky puppies. They're so cute.
Yeah. And their only natural predators are, like, giant fucking birds. I mean, huge goddamn bird. And like, monkeys and shit that can get a hold of them. But, like... So, let's talk about kind of our hero guy. There's a couple of them. We rarely get hero people.
Yeah, like...
in these stories, right? People that are definitively doing the thing, right? Edward Fred Nippling.
That's a name.
It's a hell of a name, right? So, it's a German name, and specifically Texas German. So, he's born right here.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, native-born son. He's born March 20th, 1909 in Port Lavaca.
Carry on, my not-so-wayward son.
Yeah. Nip was the 9th of 10 children to John and Hulda, a Texas German-speaking household. So they're here in Central Texas. For people who aren't from here, a lot of Germans moved in here to raise cattle, and they speak a dialect of, like, Old German. That's water pouring into a cup, if you can hear this. Not me peeing,
I was trying so hard to get my water bottle as far away from the mic as I conceivably could.
It probably didn't pick up at all.
Oh, thank God.
It would just be so funny to me if somebody was listening to that and it was like, where are they filming this? ASMR, bathroom ASMR.
Water bottle ASMR.
Yeah. Oh my God, I gotta make sure not to get it on my fur. I might get screwworms. But he himself's very educated. The lady he would eventually marry, but he met her at Iowa State, where they met and would work for the USDA. His wife is PhD in, like, entomology and a bunch of, like, micro studies.
Damn.
Yeah, they're both geniuses. I mean, it's really wild. He works for the USDA for 40 years, and then as a collaborator for another 30. So this guy, like, dies, like, really late. Like, he lives a long time. He graduates fairly early. But because of his specific, it's kind of like agricultural studies. Often you start working for someone while you're still studying, right? Like, you'll go work for... Internship, yeah. And also because a lot of your classes are funded by the USDA or the Department of Agriculture or, or whoever. So you're getting, like, essentially you're both a student and a federal employee or a state employee. So, like, part of this is because he's starting at, like, 18, right? Yeah. Like, all the way through. But he still lives a very long life. Throughout his career, he's going to move to all kinds of labs. But always, a central thing of his is that he is always studying the way bugs affect people and domesticated animals. At one point, he winds up in Georgia, where he's studying, like, louse movements for the troops. Mm-hmm. And he's in Florida. He bounces around studying screwfly populations in deer. And so he does all kinds of shit. Really, really excellent person.
It's interesting that it's in deer, because I for, like, once again, that almost Texas native showing, deer have incredibly dense fur on their pelts. Like, that is, like, it is thick.
Right, like, you, outside of ticks, right? You don't hear of dicks having dicks. You don't hear of dicks having fleas that often. They do. Scabies lice. So But it's true, right? They have very dense, coarse
like
fur.
like other than ticks, not much gets through there unless
Right.
it's like the flies in their eyes. But that's anything.
That's anything, right? And that's what flies in their eyes
Oh.
and their nose
Oh,
and their
that's
butt.
horrifying.
Yeah, and then they go in heat. And so, like, they're exposed. Like, one of the reasons why humans are so resistant to these things is because we have clothing.
Yay.
Our skin is not exposed. So, there's strike one, nudists.
I'm just gonna dress in all of the layers from now on.
Dude, like, when you look at cultures that exist in, like, a lot of swampy areas, a lot of times they cover their skin in, like, clay or some kind of grease. Here in Texas, the indigenous population of southern Texas used, like, feral hog and pig grease. Or, they're the same thing. Feral hog and bear grease, like fat, rendered fat, and, like, saltgrass to safeguard themselves from mosquitoes. Because you have exposed skin. You got to do something.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they stunk to high heaven. But, or they smelled heavily of salt. I have no idea. The account said that they smelled heavily of grease. But if it keeps you alive, you'll learn to live with it, right?
Yeah.
And they lived in a time where these guys were very much present here. So, like, yeah, so they were doing what they could do, right? And I don't blame it at all. In 1937, he ends up at the BEFQ laboratory in Maynard, Texas. I don't know what BEFQ is. I did what that means. I didn't look it up. Nippling works on math models for the sterilization of flies. Like, he's essentially saying, like, how many disease-ridden flies, say, could we...
BEFQ?
I think so, yeah.
It's not coming up with an acronym for anything.
Well, yeah, it's the only time I ever saw it was in the Department of Agriculture stuff. So it's just like, I don't know what that is. It's probably a defunct laboratory. So, I would think that it might be something like, because of where it was... Fuck, I have no idea. But he works there with a guy named Roy C. Melvin and Raymond Bushland. Roy C. Melvin, if you do, like, agriculture research, comes up a lot.
Really?
Yeah, he comes up in cattle stuff a lot. If you Google his name, you won't find much. If you type in Melvin, you'll get a bunch of other scientists. But Roy C. Melvin in the cattle industry specifically is very involved with, like, disease control, clean herds, all that kind of stuff, right? All of these guys are. Raymond Bushland, going to be heavily involved in a lot of these models. While working at this lab, some stuff goes on, right? Like, so Melvin and Bushland develop a way to mass rear bugs, that mass rear flies specifically. Like, they're breeding them in tanks where they're safe and cordoned off, but they develop a way to, like, essentially like we currently do with butterflies in terrariums like Moody Gardens. They're doing that with flies, with bot flies.
I mean, you could, but why would you want to?
Because they want to know what makes them tick. And so here, like, how can they deal with this problem?
Ugh.
Nippling has spent his whole career trying to figure out how to stop these things, right? And mostly what he finds is capture, clean, release. They're using all kinds of shit. They're using anything that they can. They're controlling fly populations. One of the major ways is because in domesticated cattle, what they'll do is they'll clean herd, right? They'll go through a herd. They will separate infected animals from the rest, and only the rest can be moved or sold. The other ones are cordoned off until they're no longer infected. And so, like, that's the only thing they got, right? Limit the spread. They're essentially quarantining animals. So farmers used to go around looking for flybite. All over America, that was a normal thing. You went around looking for flybite. And
I think I remember my grandfather mentioning that, yeah.
Yeah. And you would keep, like, it's why farmers don't kill birds. Like cowbirds and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're parasite control. They pick through the manure and they kill all the parasites. So, like, that's why you don't ever fuck with them. You let them land on the cows and do their thing. They kill ticks. They kill all kinds of stuff. A lot of farmers that raise chickens and stuff will also raise grouse, because grouse will kill acreages of ticks. going around just eating larvae and ticks and everything else.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so like part of the way we control these things is just natural. This is a major strategy to controlling
kind of like kudzu and goats.
Yes, right. You introduce an animal that kills the thing. And we do other things like this, right? Contamination can bring them into new areas, such as in the Great Lakes regions. We have plants, we have kinds of barnacle that are not natural to the area that came in through oceanic shipments that then got on a boat and then got into the water, and now they're a part of the environment. Snakehead fish are like this, flying fish. He's doing his thing, right? He's working with these very influential scientists that are very dedicated to solving a problem that is a big problem for American food manufacturing. Mm-hmm. This is one of the rare cases where corporate money is part of the solution. Everyone's concerned about this. Cattle companies are losing cattle to it. They can't export their cattle. When they find them in Mexico, they close the border, so Mexican cattlemen are not able to sell their product. And so, like, it affects everyone. So everyone's pumping money into this. The federal government, the state government, companies, schools, everything.
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck, yeah. And so after Melvin and Bushland dissolved this, in about 1950, the last piece of the puzzle kind of falls into place. A guy named Herman Joseph Mueller does a bunch of irradiation studies, specifically on X-rays, right? People used to do a lot of radiation because they didn't know how it worked, what it does. In the nuclear age, that became very important as we fought the Russians in the Cold War. You know, like, hey, if we have nuclear power, how does it, like X-ray was becoming a thing for the first time a little later on. We needed to know, we needed to know what this does to things, how it affects them. And one of the first places you start is that you look for canaries. Like canaries in the coal mine.
I was about to say, are we, like actual canaries, or are we looking for like just warning signs?
Warning signs,
okay.
Right? So like canaries die before everyone else does. Mm-hmm. So you look for species that are affected easily, and then you look for species that are closer to humans. So you might start with fruit flies. And then you'll go on to rats, pigs, and things that are closer to humans. So pigs and goats are usually the last step. The reason why these are food animals, and they might literally die anyways, fruit flies are affected by fucking everything. So they're one of your canaries.
They're so goddamn invasive, though.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, they're impossible to get rid of.
It's one of the things, right? Like, so they're affected by everything, but they bounce back from things very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like you're going to run out of them. You've got all the fruit flies in the world. They're doing these kinds of studies. And this guy, Mueller, is as well. And so he does his irradiation study. And what he finds out is that X-rays make things sterile. Now, he's jumping on research that already existed in the 1930s. But this results in something called SIT.
Okay.
SIT. Nobody calls it that, but that's what I'm going to call it. What that stands for is Sterile Insect Technique. And it's used all over the world. And here's where I get to give you good news, now that we've talked about the horrendous flesh-boring bugs that you can't get out of your skin, or else they go deeper.
Are we about to shoot into maggots? The clean maggots?
No, not quite. Because those are still used.
Yeah. Specifically for burn victims.
Yeah, and those are, by the way, drone flies. Those are regular drone flies. They're not of this group or anything like that. They only eat necrotic flesh. Mm-hmm. They are that facultative, or however you say that, parasite, which means that they'll typically, largely, leave the good flesh alone.
Yep.
And so that's great. And then you clean it out with salt water, and then you're good. These, by the way, because we didn't touch on this earlier, things like those flies are what are called secondary myiasis flies. And so in the wake of screw flies, sometimes you get a regular fly infestation because now you have a bunch of necrotic flesh all over your body. Because they only eat the good flesh. So, that sucks, right? You can get a secondary infection. We see this in cattle quite often.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, gross. Sterile insect technique is now used all over the world, and you can largely thank nippling for this. X radiation sterilizes males that are mass bred and then released into wild populations. Let's backtrack for a second.
Because the females only mate once.
Because the females only mate once.
Oh!
And this is true of a great deal of fly varieties and parasite varieties.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. I see what you did there.
Throughout his lifetime of research, for like 30 years of research, Nippling figures this out. He just needs that last piece. How do we make him sterile? And they try all kinds of shit. And they wind up on x-rays. So fucking awesome, right? Like,
yeah.
They figure out how it works. The males don't move very much. So what they do, and because of his friends at this laboratory in Texas, Melvin and Bushland, figuring out how to mass breed these insects, now they can take sterile males and just airdrop them into populations where tropic screw flies exist, neutralizing the females and generationally damaging the numbers of screw flies.
Yes!
This is so effective because this is repeated year after year in areas until total eradication. They remove. There's a specific year that this kind of is announced, but after they do this, Texas becomes clean, Mexico becomes clean, the rest of Central America becomes clean. And basically, they're held to, like, the Amazon, right? They get them all the way back into these populations where it's just around the equator, below, into the tropics of South America. And Argentina and Chile are able to control them already because they are very experienced in cattle raising. Like, vaqueros have lived there forever. And also, they've got those winters. Yeah. Southern like Argentina and Chile, they've got hard freezes. So they're already in a good position to fight. And they move north, and they start killing them north. To this day, everyone does this. The U.S. funds a great deal of this. Mexico also throws in a ton of money. The cattle industries of Argentina and Chile also throw in a ton of money. So everybody's like, this is a unified thing. Even like the Panamanian government is like...
The whole damn world stood up and said, fuck this fly.
Yeah. There are offices, I forget what the Central American thing is called, but I think it's called like ASPA or something like that. But there's offices that are like an international organization of fuck these flies. Like that's what they do, is they fight like block flies and screw flies. And because they affect a lot of the indigenous populations, that you'll find them, and they have... I'm sure you've seen pictures of like indigenous people in the Amazon that have these little what look like gray pock marks on them. Those are fly strikes.
Oh.
And how a lot of people solve this is that they use plants that are like nicotinoid plants to just kind of fuck them up. You know, like when you get a wound, you cover it. So and a lot of times they die in the wound, and then you have to clean it out. So what you'll do is, like, if you can dig in there with a tool and remove the worm, you might cover it up with a medicinal salve so that no new thing can enter. You don't get that secondary fly infestation, and then you heal. But you wind up with, like, a little gray pockmark. When you look at, like, African children often in places where their immune systems are weakened, you get those little bumps. Those are fly strikes from different parasites. So it's still a problem in many tropical places of the world. The benefits of SIT over a lot of other eradication programs. No chemicals.
At all.
You're not putting pesticides down. You don't have to introduce an invasive species. Right? No
anacondas.
No anacondas. Yeah, like you don't got to do that shit. You don't have to introduce, like... For instance, places that have invasive rat populations, they might introduce a kind of predator to go kill the rat populations. Then what do you do with the predator if it starts harming your native populations?
Like house cats.
Yeah, like house cats in New Zealand.
Yep.
So like, you have that issue, right? And best of all, cheap. It's way cheaper. It's still, when you're really hunkering down and trying to fight, it's still hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, I mean, for a global effort.
Right. The cost of the figures that I've read, a global effort might cost less than one F-22 Raptor.
Oh.
It's a couple $100 million, but an F-22 Raptor is $1 billion.
Yeah.
So like, on the macroeconomic global scale, the cost is nothing.
Pennies.
Yeah, if you talk about like how much pesticide it would take to accomplish this.
And even then you run the risk of it not A, not being effective, B, affecting the wildlife you don't want affected.
Right.
And C, affecting people, because
you have these weird cost-benefit analysis when it comes to fighting disease. Screw flies are fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
People don't want to go outside. They don't
do you believe
want to
I
get
just
near
said
them.
I'm never going outside again?
So, like, you better do something about it, right? Yeah, screw flies were considered largely eradicated in Central and North America by the late 1950s. Still present in tropics of the Caribbean and South America.
That's so recent.
It's pretty recent.
That's so recent.
We lose when people talk about, like, why do we need all these government agencies? Well, if you don't know, you don't know. And you might say, like, why do we need the FDA? Well, in the 1920s, a bunch of people died of milk.
Yeah.
Because their cows were eating various plants that are poisonous to humans, and nobody was paying attention. And also the sanitary conditions of cattle yards were so bad.
Also, let's talk about pasteurization.
Yeah, right. Some people...
Dude, the raw milk movement right now?
Yeah.
Oh my god, stop.
Yeah, are there benefits, protein benefits to raw milk? Sure, you can also buy those benefits in the form of whey protein. You don't need to do this. You can go buy milk collagen tablets.
The whack jobs that are like going off about all of the benefits about raw milk and then pasteurizing it themselves.
In a goddamn pot on their stove?
Yeah.
To kill any parasites? It's like, what do you think was happening before?
You spent so much more money on the exact same thing you could buy at a grocery store.
Yeah, like, you could make a more educated argument around this to say, like, well, I buy colostrum milk that's like orange, and I boil it in my stove. It's like, okay, it's got way more collagen and way more protein in it. Again, whey protein. You could just drink whey protein. But aside from all that, unless you're trying to get at the growth hormone, in which case, just take fucking steroids and be done with it. Like... Lactobacillus bacteria will kill you.
Yes.
You will die.
Yes.
You know, like, that's...
Like, wasn't there like, a rash of people, like, on the news, like, people getting violently, deathly ill?
Every once in a while, an ice cream place like
Bluebell.
Bluebell,
what was it, like 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
Bluebell, like, recalled fucking everything.
Yeah, and they didn't know if it was them or because there was that weird TikTok trend where that asshole fucking woman was licking it and putting it back on the counter.
Yeah.
So, like, there's that, right? If Bluebell or Blue Bunny or any of these other companies like Tillamook or whoever takes this so seriously
that they recall,
they will shut down the factory to top to bottom clean it because they're like, it's indifferent. Once it gets in, they have to make sure they kill everything.
And all these dumbasses drinking fucking raw milk.
Crazy. People used to die of
why
this
do
all
we
the
need
time.
the FDA?
Right, like...
You know what? Why do we need the FDA? How about we just let Darwin have his way?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and in 3 generations we'll all be immune to lactobacillus. And, you know, like, we hope around... You know what I think about sometimes around the Thanos thing? Because people were saying that all the time. They were like, look how it affected all the Marvel characters. Like, it really affected them. Half of the world had disappeared. And I was like...
I was mad because Bucky was gone, bro.
Yeah,
I'm a Winter Soldier girl.
Here's the most morbid thing I'm going to say this episode. Go talk to your grandparents.
Right.
Their reality is more than 50% of their friends are gone.
Yeah.
So, like, that is their reality. Like, people can survive fucking anything. The whole world was like, we don't know how to go on. And the most truthful part about that script was the way that the Hulk was... the Hulk just kind of kept living.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch just or not Scarlet Witch.
Black
Scarlett,
Widow?
yeah, thanks. Scarlett Johansson is what I was trying to get at. Her character just kind of kept working because it's like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. What else are you gonna do?
Fucking Cap starting a fucking support group.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah, that's what you do. It's what we've always done. It's what people did.
Humanity adapts.
Yeah, we're
general.
incredibly adaptive. Would it suck? Yes, because a lot of your skills would be gone. it's the Black Plague. So 50% Thanos snap did happen in Europe during the Black Plague, and people ask all the time, like, "Hey, what do you do if you lose a Leonardo da Vinci? What do you do if you lose a Galileo?" Nothing.
You can't.
You just lose one. Yeah, like you hope somebody else has the same ideas. That's what you do. But so
incidentally, the Black Plague still around.
Oh yeah, very much so. We just all use soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the answer to the Black Plague.
Soap.
Norwegian brown rats and soap. Yeah, like that's what kept it from like continuing to evolve. Is that a type of rat moved in that had chinchilla type fur. The fleas couldn't get in, and they bullied the shit out of black rats, and so now black rats exist like only in certain areas.
And soap.
And soap. And before too long, because rats clean the shit out of themselves, it largely died away from the black rat population as well. They're very clean when they have the space.
It's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah. If they're not living in like sewers, they're incredibly clean animals. Some other notable contributions for this guy, because I want to give him his whole flowers.
Yes. Give him his entire trophy and bouquet, please.
So the parasitoid augmentation technique, which I think is probably making breeding sterile insects or mutating them in a certain way and then putting them out to make like dumb insects. Mm-hmm. Or whatever. Like I didn't really spend the time like going down each one of these, except for this one. Treatment models for medicating the host. And in this case, he's talking about cattle. And so what him and his group devised is something called Smear 62. It's topical ointment.
Sounds like a salve.
It is.
Is it a drawing? Is it kind of like a drawing salve?
It is 100% what it is.
Hey!
It is a antibacterial drawing salve that you put on wounds in cattle. You clean the worms out of them. You slap it on. It keeps new flies from coming in and helps heal the damage. And so nowadays, if you see a cow that has like a shaven spot on it with scar tissue, you might be seeing a place where a smear salve was put on to keep it from being sick. And that is still a thing. Yeah.
Goddamn.
And you also, so other things like this have been used for when they dehorn a cow. They'll, almost like putting like prudence spray over a cut limb on a tree, they'll seal it with a salve to make sure flies don't get in it.
Huh.
The same is true with the dye that, it's very similar to dyes on like umbilical cord dye. Where they like the idea is to draw it up as fast as possible. Mm-hmm. It's like that. This is kind of part of their like because all research, good scientific research, builds upon itself. You know, like I think it was Harvard years ago did a thing about the flow rate of ketchup. Somebody did a paper. They got a grant, and it's used by people all the time about wasteful grant money. The thing is, ketchup is a viscous fluid that separates. So I'm sure somebody out there in the chemical industry was really interested in that study. You know what I mean? Like,
and the whoever it's the perfect angle for getting ketchup out of the glass bottle specifically.
Yeah, it's like, is it a dumb term paper somebody was writing to graduate? Absolutely. Is there someone in say the automotive industry who's looking at the fuel pump direction that might take a great interest into this paper? Abso-fucking-lutely. Because all knowledge builds upon itself. And if you know where to look, someone has done this.
I like that.
Yeah, like that's...
Yay humans.
Yay humans, yeah.
I don't often get to say that, but yay humans.
So here's one of the coolest things this guy did. Various models of pest management, including, in 1942, was involved in testing. Remember I told you he was doing anti-lice treatments for the troops?
Oh, yeah.
This is during World War II, 1942. He was in Florida, in that lab in Florida, with the deers. But he was testing anti-louse powder, using a powder from a J.R. Geigy, I think is how you say this, company in Switzerland. That chemical that he was testing was called DDT.
Oh!
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we're not allowed to use it anymore, but
no, but still present in many mosquito control things. And so, like, yeah, DDT. DDT was...
Well, all right.
That was it. That was his thing.
Shit.
And so you're just like, some of these guys were involved in...
Bug spray.
Yeah, in removing malaria from places. Because they were just all building on each other's research. This guy, the chemicals made in Switzerland for a wide variety of uses. That it was being tested here on lice.
What?
Fuck yeah.
That's
because
amazing.
lice was a big problem in like trenches. And in World War II, in large camps, people would get lice and it would spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
So they had to have a treatment for it. There you go.
That's fucking crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, you're just like, God damn. Like, sometimes you roll upon people that are just so useful to everyone's life. You know, it's like Louis Pasteur. It's like, do you realize, he did, because they held, like, birthday parties for him, but, like, there are some people that will never really be publicly known, or will be known for the wrong things, that you don't realize how fucking important these people are.
How integral they are to just everyday life.
To everyday life. Like, one of my pet peeves in history is George Washington Carver. Because I love George Washington Carver so much. I'm a fan. I'm a massive fucking peanut stan, all right? He's known as the peanut butter guy in most school educations, right? When February rolls around, we do Black History Month. George Washington Carver, peanut butter. George Washington Carver was one of the premier botanists in America. His student, Henry Wallace, would become the head of the American Agricultural Department of Agriculture during the time of the Dust Bowl.
Oh shit!
Yeah. The guy who figured out how to stop the Dust Bowl was the protege of George Washington Carver.
Whoa.
Carver invented a ton of things using peanuts, but not because he fucking loved peanuts. Peanut oil was cheap. Peanuts were being grown all over the world. It's cheap. It's combustible at certain pressures.
It's useful.
Bacteria doesn't grow in it easily. You can fry things with it. One of the things he was trying to figure out, along with Henry Ford's scientist, was how to make motor oil out of peanuts, because they recognized in
Didn't some kid do it recently?
Yeah, a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's just that it's kind of expensive.
Yeah. Well.
For now, right? Like, in comparison, for now. He was using soybeans and peanuts, and so was Ford, because they realized that America was fuel dependent on the Middle East.
Yep.
And that was going to become a problem.
God, and
in
that
the 1920s and 30s, they figured this out. These guys were like, Washington Carver was the shit. Later. Yeah, like, he was fucking awesome. He was coming out, like, he was, like, some of his research leads into our understanding of viscosity, how to use seed oils, the processes that he was using for that. We now make oils out of fucking everything. Like, he's so integral to so many things. His students would go on to save the fucking world.
Insane.
Yeah. Just, so, like, Edward Nippling, or like Nip as they called him.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. I waited to the end. It was like, it's K-N-I-P, not the racial slur. So, he was so important to so many things. But let's move on to current events.
Oh, shit. That's right. You started this with current events. What the fuck happened?
Let's start with the big shock headline. 2023.
Oh, shit.
Panama, the country, not just the canal, but, you know, like the country itself.
The whole place.
They keep very good track. They are the isthmus, right? They're the point of contact between South America and Central America. So they keep very good, and they run the Panama Canal now, right? So they keep a lot of good track of disease, endemic species, spiders and bananas, for instance. They're very concerned about that, about moving endemic, invasive species to other places. So they record 25 cases per year of screw flies, because they're going around talking to everybody. In the year 2023, there's a population explosion.
Oh.
Remember, it was eradicated.
Yeah.
But Panama's the point of contact. 6,500 per year.
Holy shit.
Population explosion. Why? People start backing off of the bug thing.
Oh, no.
We've cut funding. People aren't doing it as much. Sometimes people forget what these programs are for. And disease rears its ugly head. It then spreads all over Central America.
Oh.
There are definitely discussions in like, oh shit, we got to do something right now. even here in America, everybody's on the same page. A slow, gradual buildup starts taking place. Recently, there's been an outbreak in Mexico. This happened like a year ago. I think it was in June. They stopped all cattle across the border. Then they started taking in bits and pieces. We had, for a little while here, because of like taxation and stuff, a little bit of like a meat crisis. So
I remember that.
Yeah, the price of like meat went really high. So this is one of the reasons. It's not all like whatever the president's doing, right? Sometimes it's just shit that happens in the world.
Yeah. Well, the avian flu thing, like even recently.
Yeah, that caused a lot of meat to go up. And then people will go, well, why does it cause pork and beef? Well, if you kill all the birds, what meat are you buying?
Yeah.
Pork and beef. And so law of supply and demand kicks in, and pork and beef become more expensive.
Why eggs?
Yeah, and eggs go through the fucking roof, right? June 2025, the USDA issues a five-pronged plan, which would include USDA building a Texas facility for $8.5 million. It's a building right here. We're now into the current administration. Secretary Sarah Rollins. The U.S. has defeated the NWS New World Screws. We defeated the New World Screw Fives before, and we will do it again. This leads right up to current times. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, directs the Texas Animal Health Commission and Parks and Wildlife to form a response team. Working with the USDA and companies, and a lot of cattle companies, funding totaling $750 million will create facilities to breed sterile flies.
Okay, let's go.
Everyone is taking this seriously. This is an across the aisle, across country borders thing. And some good news. Some excellent news. Starting off with this, a new attractant called the TDA, that's the Texas Department of Agriculture, swarm lure will help track migrations. How this works is they're attracted to the thing. They put out traps with an attractant on it, and then they can spot, well, what picks up a screw fly. So they go around and they can see what herds are moving, how it's getting from place to place, because they do fly a lot, as stated before, right, 120 miles, but they need something to go into. Human beings will report a case, so you can see it. But pigs don't talk. So like you need some metric of feral hog populations, deer populations, other animals like that aren't as good at removing parasitic species. Mm-hmm. You can track cows, you can track pigs, you can track chickens. You can't track deer as easily. So you need something to do that. And the TDA swarm lure is how they're doing that. They can track it through native populations. Fucking awesome.
That is cool.
Mexico, building their own $51 million facility.
Bet.
A lot of countries are building smaller facilities to create
those
those
flies.
Yeah, to completely eradicate them. And the plan is, like kind of like the end of this five-prong plan, is you don't stop.
Yeah.
You try to head into South America and get it for good.
So I was about to say they're going for complete like species annihilation.
Yeah. The goal is eradication. If you can't get them out of the Amazon is like a 3-tier canopy forest. You might not be able to.
Yeah.
Right? So the U.S. has suspended cattle from Mexico, including bison and horses, because they do track on just, horse breeding farms. You guys come up here. And, of course, dogs, cats, and all that stuff that might come from breeding farms being checked at the border. This is a current thing. So this Abbott thing that I just read from Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, 3 days ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're currently
All right.
very much in it.
So Rick Perry would have gone scorched earth with it.
100%. Yeah, like anybody who's in the Cattlemen's Association would be like, this is a death knell to our industry. It costs billions of dollars in damage when it happens. So that's the good and bad news. The bad news is there's an extremely creepy parasitic fly living in our backyard.
Ugh.
And here's the crazy part of the bad news. When weather permits, when you have a warm year, screw flies have been found in Canada. Because they fly 120 miles and they have a 20-day life cycle.
Oh.
So from spring to fall,
Oh.
right? And back in the day, you went cattle driving up the Chisholm Trail. Cows were drove and are still by rail. Cows are drove from Texas all the way up to Chicago.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, so you wind up, and today it happens much faster.
Oh yeah.
Because you're on rail, it's not, you don't have to spend 3 months moving all these damn cows.
Yeah, no, you're there in days.
Yeah, you're there in days, and now you're in the Great Lakes region.
Oh.
So like, you can make it.
Okay, yeah, no, this kill them all makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's just like flus. Planes made it easier, trains made it easier for endemic things, pandemics, to get from place to place.
Well, I could have told you that, but I'm also part of the generation that played Pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And this is your rail car moves things like swine flu or these kinds of flies around very fast. And so people like the USDA, FDA, have to kind of be on their shit.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is going in to stop this new spread of a very dangerous species. What are your final thoughts?
I'm never going outside again. Ever. Listen, I'm already, an under-the-bed goblin. Just by nature. But, ugh.
Crazy thing is...
With the hook fangs and...
Yeah.
No.
The crazy thing is... So, in our house, we just had a bed bug situation that we went totally scorched earth on. Not because we had them, but because somebody else had them, and we tracked, they follow you. They get in your clothes and shit, and then they follow you. So, you find one, you burn it down.
Yeah.
You get rid of your mattress, you spray the room. It's expensive, but fuck it.
Yeah.
You gotta kill them.
Yeah.
And then I read news that there was an endemic worm species that... Yeah, I was just like, oh my god, the horror of insects right now is crazy. Fucking what, dude?
God damn, bugs.
Yeah,
Ugh.
every time a fly lands on me, I'm gonna freak out now.
Just...
Good news is, though, the flies with the black eyes that most of us know, those are drone flies.
Yeah.
Those are just regular
That's just a
fucking
housefly.
flies. Yeah. So this SIT, they're testing it on fruit flies. And they're testing it on bot flies, which are the ones that are causing the scars on African kids. Like when you see kids with, they're testing it on Old World. They're using it on fucking everything now. They're testing populations to see how they breed, because if they breed the same way as the screw fly, we can kill them.
They're afraid.
Yeah, that's
the bugs are afraid.
Big fucking news. It's so wild. And if this program that is currently being headed works, and it eradicates them quickly, this will be solid generational concrete proof that these kinds of scientific interventions work. And they work quickly, and they work better with a lot of funding.
I mean, that's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news. The bad news still remains that there's a burrowing fly. Ugh.
Yeah. America's own mango worm.
Gross.
Thank you for listening to Morbid Mondays. Hope you don't freak out when you feel that itch on the back of your head tomorrow.
Oh, that's mean. That's fucking mean.